There we go. 5 traps in the Caro Kann for white players. Just take note and you will crush your next opponent using one of them. If you play the Caro Kann as black, be careful not falling for these. The first one is seen in the advanced variation of the Caro, with the characteristic e5 move on move 3. Many of your opponents will play c5, which is with bishop f5 one of the main moves. After c3, building this nice pawn chain, some black players go for knight c6 instead of the safe e6, which would defend the c5 pawn nicely. After the careless bishop g4, we will indeed grab the c pawn. Your opponent may take the e5 pawn, which looked undefended because of the pin on the knight, but the pin is just an illusion, and we take the knight, letting black to take our queen. After this check, however, we win back the queen. Keep in mind that we took a knight at the beginning of this combination and are up a piece at the moment. We will not leave it there. We play knight f7 check, and after king takes and king takes, grab the rook in the corner. We are up a rook and a piece on move 12, that's pretty cool. The second trap looks like classic stuff, but it's worth remembering since I can see on the internet some players still blundering it. This time, we are in the old main line with knight c3 and d takes e4. Knight d7 is sometimes played, the idea being to be able to recapture with this knight after a future knight f6 and knight takes. If you want to be tricky, you can play queen e2 here, and then if your opponent plays the automatic knight g to f6, you win with knight d6 smothered mate. This trap is great in blitz and bullet, as many players will remove the losing move knight g f6. We are in the same main line. Most players will challenge your e4 knight immediately with knight f6. Taking is of course fine, but we can also defend the knight with our queen on d3. Some of your opponents will strike at the center with e5, and when you take, they will recapture on e5. After we castle queenside, black's position looks fine. It looks even winning if he takes the knight, but now comes an outstanding move. We sacrifice the queen on d8. Queen takes is forced and we win with the key bishop g5 double check. The king is forced to move. On c7, it's mate with the bishop, and on e8, it's mate with the rook. It's game over. In the line where knight d7 is played, you can be tricky and play your knight a second time with knight g5. Your knight looks annoying, so your opponent may kick it with h6, but it's already a mistake. The brave knight lands on e6. If your opponent dares to take it, it's checkmate in 2. The queen must move, and even now, our knights stay where it is. Black can be tempted to take it, since there's no checkmate this time. Nevertheless, black still loses after bishop a5, pinning and winning the black queen. There is no time for knight f6, as we take with check and move the queen back. We just saw that h6 is a bad move in this position. Knowing this, black players may develop their pieces calmly with knight f6. We move the bishop to c4, targeting f7. Black is forced to defend with e6. We play queen e2, preparing a nice combination. Many players will just move their bishop out, as if nothing happens. The point of our play is revealed after the knight sacrifice on f7. It's a fork, so black will most likely take. Now you finish your opponent off with queen takes e6 check. If king f8, it's checkmate on f7, and if king g6, it's checkmate after bishop d3 check, king h5, queen f5 check, and queen takes g5 with a checkmate. Thank you for watching, and feel free to check these videos if you want to destroy your next chess opponents.